I think there's a lot of education that you can do for yourself and keep yourself up to date with sales skills and training and those sorts of things. But if you're in sales, I'm guessing that a reasonable portion of your salary is going to be based on commission for the sales that you make. So the most important thing for me, if I was being furloughed now, would be to work on my sales pipeline. Because if I do nothing and I'm furloughed for 3 months and I come back, I'm going to start off talking to prospects from scratch. It's going to take me, if it's a 6-month sales cycle, it's going to take me another 6 months before I start earning any commission. I want to hit the ground running. So what I'd be doing is I'd be working through LinkedIn, and I'd be building a list of ideal prospects, people that are companies and people who want our services. They're ideal prospects for us, and find those and start to build a relationship with them and start to sell to them. Because if you can start the sales process today, and you come back to work properly in 3 months, you may not be 3 months down the pipeline, but you're going to be at least 1 or 2, maybe 2 further down than you would be if you just leave it to starting from scratch. And again, you're going to be ahead of your competitors, because most of them will be feeling sorry for themselves. They'll be sitting thinking, well, there's nothing I can do. There's heaps of things you can be doing to actually build your income up for when you start and come back. I'd be spending most of my time trying to make new sales, trying to find new prospects, and trying to make new relationships.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I think there's a big difference between Australia and the UK in this as well, in so much as the UK government have been fairly strict on working within the business or doing work that's perceived to be for the business when you're on the job retention scheme and you've been furloughed. But I think, Rich, you make an interesting point, and I've talked to a few people about that here in the UK, that the vehicle for doing that here in the UK is personal brand. So it's great to sit on your hands for a while, enjoy the weather. Here in the UK, we've got some sun in the spring for once, and it's lovely weather, and talk to lots of people who have enjoyed that, but a number who are already bored because they want to be doing work. And whether or not I agree with the government's sentiment behind the reasons why people can't work when on furloughed or do some work or whatever it might be, the fact is that they're being fairly strict about that. So I think people have got to be smart and be working on their personal brand, because as an individual, your personal brand impacts on your success within your role, but also it should be important to you. And there's a lot of uncertainty in your career. So taking the advice to an objective standpoint, i.e. if I was on furlough, what would I be doing? Exactly as Richard said, I'd be building my personal network. I'd be talking to people who look like ideal prospects, and I'd be building a relationship with them. I maybe wouldn't be selling right now. I think I'd be starting conversations, but I think that it would be about building genuine relationships, sharing ideas. Personal development is obviously critical at the moment. There's loads of stuff that we can consume online, but I think it's about setting micro goals and micro achievements that you can celebrate, because it's very easy to say, right, well, I'm going to do personal development. What does that mean? And when do you think you've done it? And how much do you do? So maybe putting aside 2 hours a week to do that, maybe setting some small goals of things that you want to do, maybe listening to a podcast a day, whatever it might be, but put some specific things down so that you know exactly what that looks like and what success looks like. So you can acknowledge that you've achieved something. But yeah, I think the key for me is, okay, we can't do work, we can't be selling per se. What we can be doing is building our network and building the credibility and the relationship, the reputation, behind my personal brand. Because if I come back to work in 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, whatever it might be, and I've got 20 new connections and solid connections where I've actually had two-way conversation, I've engaged with each other's content, and those people are ideal prospects for me when I get back in. Again, it's about that running start rather than that standing start. So I think you have to be careful because we can't be working, but I don't think we should turn off completely. Final thing is stay connected. So I think it's important that you stay connected with the business that you work within, because so much is changing so quickly at the moment. And I think a lot of furloughed staff have left it on their company to keep connected and to do the work around that. And remember that it's you that will get left behind if you're not up to date, you're not connected with things. So I would be reaching out to colleagues that are still working and finding out what the market's looking like, finding out what's happening. You can do that personally. You give them a call one-to-one, and I'd be talking to my line manager and talking to the other people within the business, just to stay in touch and get updates on what's happening and stay involved with the business. I think it's a great way to show that you care, which puts you up on the value chain in terms of your personal brand within that organization. But it's also a great way to stay sharp and stay within the game, because I think it's very easy to get stale over a month, 2 months, 3 months of not selling, come back in, no pipeline. You've got to sort of warm back up again, so to speak. And again, it's a bit like the business in the pipeline. It could take a month or two for you to get started again.